Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Doom Productions podcast, a podcast where we share filmmakers' worst nightmares. I'm Jordan,
I'm Ethan.
I'm Zach.
and this has been our first episode in a long time. I think our last episode was way back in, I want to say, like March or something like that. If you saw the video, so last week we put out a video on this channel talking a little bit about why we've been gone for so long on YouTube. But in case you didn't see that video, we made a ginormous, gargantuan, colossal movie this year. Ethan and Zach, you guys haven't seen the video because it's not out yet, and I haven't uploaded. I just gotta add this little thing in it, but um, in the video, I pretty much explained that this project started. I mean, the idea came to me last year in summer when we were shooting up in Yakima. We weren't shooting up in Yakima, but we were up in Yakima for our Doom production screening. Started writing the project with Andrew in February. Well, I think I brought Andrew on a little bit later, but writing to started in January, and then production was a 10-day shoot in July, and then 4 additional days in August. And yeah, it's my brain's a little bit fried right now, I'll be honest, because I've been sitting at my computer editing like all day.
Yeah, you have like no breaks.
No breaks, no breaks
You're just
whatsoever.
you've just been going since really the writing process has been long for this one, and it'll be draft after draft after draft, and then it was planning, scheduling, production, and now editing, and there weren't really any, beats to skip in between that. It was just kind of go 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 for you,
And I'm still not done.
and you're not gonna be done for a while.
No, I mean, my stuff will be done ideally in October. But before we get ahead of ourselves, what is I did enough talking in my video, talking broadly about the project, but what to you two, what makes this project different than any of our other projects that we've done? And before I even go there, normally we talk about other movies on this Doom Productions podcast. We're going to do things a little differently for this episode, maybe the next couple ones, where because we made a movie, obviously, and it's very likely it could be doomed. I mean, everything about it should have been doomed. Like, we can get into that more, but just to preface. But anyways, Zach, we'll start with you. What makes this project different from any film we've done before?
I would say the scale, particularly behind the scenes, is quite larger than any other film that we have undertaken. I would even say, including Coalescence. Coalescence was probably previously our biggest scaled film, but you guys were a lot less involved in that one. But we had the RC Boys, Grannon Films, helping out with this project as well. So we had a lot more people on set each day. We had a lot of actors. And another big part is that we weren't on our home turf. We were up in Yakima filming this movie for a week, and then additional photography for maybe 3 or 4 days, probably. So
4 days. It was a 14 days altogether. Yeah.
yeah. So this is definitely our biggest film, and you'll definitely be able to feel that when you watch the movie as well. I think, based on the versions that I have seen. So, yeah.
Yeah. Ethan, same question. What makes this movie our biggest project? Like, how do we convey the scope?
I mean, the last time we've had anywhere close to this number of people on set was 2014. And that was for one day, like in 2014, that was like an evening of shooting. And this was like consistently high numbers of people on set for 10 days straight, and then another 4 days straight. And just that level of coordination is mind-boggling. And
Yes, it is.
as you know, it was so much. It was so much to balance, so much to kind of like hold in Jordan's brain. And were there breakdowns and hallucinations and all sorts of mental tests from this production? There were, and we'll get into that more later. But all I have to say is this there was just so many moving pieces to this production. We had units, like production units for this movie, which is something we've never done before. And it was stressful. I don't know if it was helpful in some times, which again is another great story, but it was a lot of fun. I mean, just like, it's like getting a new toy that is like, it's like when your dad gives you a pocket knife, but you're like 7. And it's like, should your kid have that? I'm not sure if they're ready for it, but hey, they made something cool with it. That's kind of how this feels, where it's like, were we ready for the level of like filmmaking we were like setting ourselves up for? I'm not sure, but I think we rose to the occasion, and through some miracle, we made it happen. Like you were saying, this movie in a number of times could have fallen through up to the last day of shooting. Like everything was hinging on the next thing working out. So, and the last thing that made this different also is the fact that there were like no breaks. Again, like I was kind of saying earlier, there were just no breaks. Like usually there's like a catch-up day or two in between each shoot, and there was none of that. There were some days like no sleep between days because there was so much that needed to get done. It is just a lot. Anyways,
I think
rambling.
I think a good way to focus today's episode, because we will be talking way more about this movie. Probably you're going to be hearing about this movie a lot from us in the next year or so.
Oh yeah.
Like over the course of the next year. But
Yeah.
things are still somewhat fresh, so I'd love to focus this conversation on the production, on this epic film journey, as we called it, up in Yakima, because again, this is something we've never done before. As Ethan and Zach said, there was a lot of moving pieces that we kind of had to have all our ducks in a row. We had to have everything lined up going up there, which is a whole big thing in and of itself. But let's just say there's tons of resources and props and gear and makeup and costumes and there's so much that we had to bring up, so much we had to coordinate, locations, people, food, all that stuff. But let's focus in on the first day. So we started I think we left on July 14th and we stayed through July 24th for the principal photography. Ethan, July 14th, walk us through that day.
That day started bright and early, or at least that was the plan.
Yep.
So to set the stage even earlier, Jordan's car is a pivotal part of this movie. This is the first thing that like can't fail.
Right.
Is Jordan's car.
Yeah.
And what was the first thing that failed was Jordan's car. His car was having issues with its air conditioning and some engine stuff, and so he had to take it in. And all we knew is that the car had to be ready by Friday at like the latest so we could get up to Yakima and drive.
I was supposed to get it, I believe, on Wednesday or Thursday.
So like midweek.
And they say, hey, there's some extra stuff we found. Can we work on this longer? I said, absolutely.
Yeah. And it butts right up, and come Thursday night or whatever, you're calling them like, hey, how's the car? And they're like, well, do you need the car this weekend? Because we haven't finished fixing it yet.
Well, they fixed the engine stuff, but they did not fix the air conditioning.
Yes.
And
so the air conditioning was out.
And I called you guys up. I think this was Friday morning, actually, now that I think about it. Because I was supposed to get it Thursday. And then Friday comes around and they give me a call. And they're like, hey, do you need this weekend? I'm like, yeah, I kind of do. And they're like, well, you're going to have no AC. And I'm like, as long as it runs. And they said, yeah, the car runs fine. I called you guys up because I was like, we were in the middle of a heat wave.
It was like 100 degrees in Yakima and in Portland too. It was hot.
Yeah.
It was hot. And I called because I wanted to give you guys the heads up. I was like, hey, I'm not going to have AC. I'm fine with... Well, actually, I wasn't fine. I think this was subconsciously me trying to back out because I was like, do we go up today or do we wait until like Tuesday and lose 3 days of shooting or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
And you guys were just like, not gonna let me quit.
Yeah.
Well, it was the thing of like, again, there were so many moving pieces. The fact that the car could run, we all kind of agreed like there was no like take two on this production.
Right.
All of our ducks were in a row, and there was no way we could not have that. So we decided, yeah, we're gonna go up, we're gonna do it. And so we hit the road late that day. We were planning to leave Portland at like 7 a.m. originally.
Earlier, I think, like 6.
Yeah, early. We were going to be hitting the road early, and we didn't end up hitting the road until like rush hour at like 5 p.m.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so like getting out of Portland alone took like an hour.
Yeah.
But we finally get up, like we make the trek, and I feel bad about this whole thing because almost every story about Jordan's AC has the caveat of my car did have working AC, and I always rode in my car minus the times we were actually filming scenes in Jordan's car. So I wasn't suffering that much. I was listening to my podcast, cruising on up. We loaded my car with a bunch of things, so it was just me, and then Jordan and Zach were just left to suffer.
Yep. And it was hot, and I now am like, now to me 80 degrees feels cool, which is sickening.
Yeah.
But we got up late, and the reason we planned to come up in the morning was because there was so much stuff to set up. And even to set the stage further, I know there's so much backstory, and we could run for hours and hours. I mean, maybe we'll have to do a live stream on this at some point. But if you look at the schedule, there are 125 scenes in this movie. There were at least 18 locations. Our schedule was jam-packed, and looking back, there is no way in hell that we should have been able to finish the movie. Like like looking back, I overpacked the schedule way too much. Like there's no way we should have been able to finish. By some miracle, we did.
And a lot of that came down to, we had a certain, like, we knew how we ran on a 4-person, 5-person set. Like, we knew how to calculate our time for that. And we just kind of assumed it would be the same when we have a 8, 9, 10-person set. And that just wasn't the case. There's just so many more moving pieces. And again, there's just factors and unpredictable variables that come in with filmmaking, and those got the better of us on a lot of days, and it made it so that we were consistently like sprinting to catch up on our schedule. So there was never a time when we felt relaxed until like very close to the end of filming, pretty much. There were a few days that felt like, oh yeah, we've got this. Like a day that ended an hour past schedule felt like a good day.
Yeah.
And that never happened when we were filming. Like we were used to always wrapping early, and this we were always wrapping late.
Yeah. But so our schedule was packed overall, but obviously we didn't realize that going up. So when we show up at Yakima, we had planned the Friday to be a big prep day, to grab food, to settle in, to finish up some last bit of kind of logistical planning and stuff like that. And we showed up, I think 9, 8. I can't remember. It was late. It was getting dark when we showed up, and we still had to do all that stuff. We had umbrellas because we were going to be shooting outside
in the middle of the
next
desert.
morning, starting at 5 a.m.
In
middle of the desert.
yeah.
We had we had a lot of this. We had everything prepped that we could have prepped, but we still had stuff to do. So we got up late at night, and we just have to hit the ground running again. We're running around. We go to Winco. We hit up all these different stores, getting stuff and getting gear, getting settled. And by the time we're done getting settled and we're like ready to shoot the next morning, it's like 2 a.m., 3 a.m., something like that. And we're supposed to wake up in 3 hours to go.
Not even.
Yeah.
We have to be at our meetup at 5:30, and it's like 30 minutes away from us or 20 minutes away.
Yep.
So we had to be out the door by 5. So we had to be packed by 4:30 probably, or packing by 4:30. And it was already getting close to 3:30. So we were like, well, what's the point? So Zach and I slept for like 20 or 30 minutes. Jordan didn't even bother.
No.
And then we got up and did the day.
And So yeah, the day started early,
Yeah.
but we get up to it's a supermarket. So this is Saturday, 5 a.m. We're there. We got most of our crew. There's an actor who was running behind. And for context on the day, actually, I'm going to just pull up the schedule for myself so I can see what
Yeah.
I had planned, foolishly planned. Let's see. This was the 15th. Oh, okay. So we're scheduled to start at 6 a.m. at this location. We're scheduled to wrap at 1 p.m. Now, this is foolish all around because this is the desert. This is 30 minutes away from town. There's no bathrooms. There's no
There's
like
nothing.
there's nothing. It's us versus the elements for what is that? 6 to 1. That's 7 hours straight.
Yeah.
That's a work day.
There's oh dude, like this is abuse. This is workplace abuse. I feel so grateful for the Yakima folks for putting up with our shenanigans. Because again, I am estimating we're running on our usual time. 3-person crew, getting through things very quickly, wrapping way earlier. Because if we had done this in Portland with our small crew and kind of like shot it like we would in Portland style without all the people and without all kind of knowing the locations in the area, I think this is a very fair schedule to have attempted, and we would have wrapped by 11 a.m. I would say. But because we kind of got a late start because all the actors, we couldn't rally everybody together quite at the time. We ended up getting out to this location, I want to say 7 a.m. is when
Yeah,
we
it was
Yeah.
about an
out
hour
there.
late.
Even driving our cars. Yeah, we were at least an hour late. Driving our cars was a whole ordeal, which took up another 40 minutes to an hour trying to figure all that stuff out.
Our cars literally couldn't handle the terrain we were driving on. So Jordan and I had to like park our cars way further back.
Yeah.
And then some of our other cars made it. And then we had to walk a lot of gear up to the location. And it was up this steep gravel hill.
And
It was
dude,
gnarly.
I think by the time cameras are rolling, it's maybe 8 a.m. I mean,
At least.
Around there.
actually, I
yeah.
can check the footage. I can check the timestamp
Yeah.
on the footage. Hold on, let me do this.
We were starting late, though. I know that
Yeah.
for sure. I mean, it was like, when you're like seeing everything falling apart. What's the meme where it's like everything's on fire? It's like, this is fine.
Oh, the SpongeBob
That's kind of how we
meme,
were
yeah.
operating.
Oh, you know what? This ain't too. Actually, 7:45 a.m.
Okay.
Not quite 8,
Oh, okay.
but 7:45. So it's definitely not on schedule. But
We're like an hour and 45 minutes behind.
right.
Yeah.
I think what helped us was that although it was going to be really hot that day, it didn't start getting hot until maybe 11 or so. Like it didn't get start getting heating up until later. So we had a lot of kind of momentum in the first part of the day because it's still cool out, beautiful scenery, people. I mean, it's the first day of production, and we're shooting the climax of our movie, because this is something that I've kind of learned and kind of feel is when you are making a movie, you should invest all your you should shoot the climax of your movie first. Generally, that's not always the case, but I think that it's better to shoot the climax first because that's the most important part of your movie. You want to have the time to get it right, and when you the first day, you're going to have a ton of energy, and you're going to have a lot of kind of, again, just fuel that you wouldn't have near the end of your shoot if you wait or shoot later. Now, there's obviously reasons why you shouldn't shoot the climax of your movie first, but that's how we felt on this. So that's that was day one, and I'm looking at the file names again. It looked like the last video clip that we shot it at 1 p.m. 1:06 p.m.
Yeah, I remember vividly that we finished 7 minutes. We were like heading out, like, okay, that's a wrap for the day at 1:07. We were done 7 minutes later than we planned, but we ended up getting started like over an hour behind schedule. So we were like, this is a good start.
So I guess in our defense, starting really late and still ending on time, that's still pretty good,
Yeah.
But it's it's a hot day. That was day one.
Yep.
And that's, yeah.
To be honest, the rest of the day is a blur. It looks like, and let me see if this is true. It looks like on the schedule we were supposed to shoot another scene. The end of the literally. Oh, but we didn't shoot it that day. Yeah, I don't think
No,
we
right.
shot it that day.
We pushed things. We
So I-
moved around quite a bit.
So I guess that was it. And to be honest, I think the rest of that day is kind of a blur to me. I remember we went out to eat with the crew. I remember that I spent a lot of time editing. Oh, I remember another added stressor. One of the reasons we were starting so early is because one of our actors had to split at like 11 a.m. So we
Yeah.
had to get all of their coverage first because we were going to lose an actor at that time. So that added more things to the pressure, for sure. Do you guys remember anything else about the first day of shooting? Saturday, the 14th, the 15th, I mean.
I think was that the day we went swimming afterwards? Because it was just so darn hot.
Yes, I
Yeah.
think it was. I'm just realized something now, guys. I think. Wait, so let's see. We started on the 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, 21, 22, 20. Did we shoot on the 23rd?
23rd
No,
was
that
a
was
Sunday,
leaving. Or yeah,
Yes, we did.
yeah, we did. Because the 24th was leaving day.
Right? Yeah.
I'm just
We didn't
realized
shoot
our
that
math
day.
is off. We were in Yakima for 10 days,
Yeah.
but we were only shooting for, let's see, the 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20, 21, 22, 23, 9 days. No, that doesn't add up. We were up there for
No,
11
we were up
days,
there for
'cause we were
12
up there on
days.
the
Or
14th.
11 full days.
14th through the 24th. Yeah, that's 10 days.
Okay.
So we shot for. Oh gosh! Welcome to Doom Productions, where we're terrible at math.
And to be fair, again, this whole thing was a nightmare. Like
Yeah.
in terms of like memory. Like I forgot day one. I mean, again, we're exhausted. You brought up we got food afterwards. We went to get like teppanyaki, and
right.
I was like zoning out. We didn't eat a ton. Like we made an effort to like have like really healthy snacks on set. Like everything was kind of like veggies and drinks and stuff. It was all like hydration based basically. But once I got food in me, I just remember just shutting down.
Dude,
at that
you
table.
were catatonic
Yeah.
I was
on
done.
Saturday. It was because we were gonna go to the pool, right? And you
Yep.
were
Yeah.
just dead. Like even when you were awake, you were dead. And this is, I think, then hours later, once we got into the pool, that's what really woke you up.
The
Yeah.
pool was nice. The pool was relaxing and nice. And then it was like, okay,
But you
like
would
my
just
body
sit-
needed to acclimate.
You would just sit with your eyes. Well, sometimes your eyes would be open, but you would just like not move. And it was like, is he okay?
Yeah.
Is he alive?
It was just like the flashbacks, but I was like currently living them. It was a whole thing. But no, I like really the acclimation needed to like get used to that was a lot. It was hard. Going up for the next shoot after was a lot easier just because like we knew what we were getting into.
Right.
And it was just such a hard, grueling shoot. It really was. Yeah.
And the Sunday was again for, well, okay, I'll say this about the movie. When I started out to make the movie or write the movie, plan it, I think what I told everybody was there are 3 set pieces that I want. I'm not going to reveal what those set pieces are, but they were pretty big. We had filmed the first set piece, the climax of our movie, the Saturday. Sunday was the second of those set pieces. And that was all, luckily, it was all at, I don't think we can share the location. It was at a house. And it was a big kind of set piece, which was scheduled to go from noon to 8 p.m. And I can't remember if we made that exactly. I can check, but that was also a very crazy day because I think that was the most we had people on set from my memory. Is that correct to say?
Yes, that probably was the most packed.
I would say.
And
yeah.
it wasn't a big house.
Right.
No.
Oh, okay. And it looks like we ended, the last thing we shot that day was at 5:53, so we actually made it on time that day.
Yeah.
But there were so many moving pieces, it always feels like you're running behind because
Right.
this is a scene with lots of, not even just that set piece, which is leading up to the climax, but it was the build up to that. A lot of dialogue scenes, a lot of coverage, and within the set piece, lots of different setups and coverage as well, from inside the house to the side of the house to the front of the house to the back of the house, different characters' reactions. It was a lot of shooting, and again, I mean, it's thanks to the hard work everybody put in that we were able to get it done, and a little bit of luck and a little prayer and everything. But it was crazy, man. Like that was another kind of crazy kind of day. And I think it was Monday when I realized this, but I was like, wow, every single day of the shoot has been the hardest film shoot of my life. Like every single day was like the worst in terms of this challenge. We had this specific challenge, which made it feel like the worst day of shooting ever. and it maintained that for a little bit of the shooting. We really front loaded the shooting schedule, so it you could feel the grind and just it was not glamorous. I'll say that much.
Well, and I was so glad that I had the experience of coalescence prior to this film, because I was like, this is fine. This is par for the course. So I was chilling.
You really were the most prepared, I think, of all of us. I was just thinking of I remember the bell rings was hard. We were digging some holes out in the field somewhere. That was hard, And then coming into this, it was I don't know if this art is worth it,
Yeah.
Dude, day one, physically the hardest thing. Day two, I think setup wise, the hardest thing, and with coordinating all the people, the hardest thing. Monday,
oh baby,
that was the day we were the most behind, and everything that could go wrong went wrong, and it was a full day of shooting. That was the day that I was like, I think the movie might not happen. This movie will just fall apart. It felt like that was end of the world kind of Monday. It was crazy. It was wild.
Jordan saw the face of God that day.
Should we get into that already?
Let's just jump
we're
into
on
some of the
Monday.
funny stories,
Let's go for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and while I'm telling this story or parts, feel free to interject, but also think about other, because there are other this. This is not the only. We have lots of stories like this about that trip. Just for
every day had 5.
Yeah.
Something else every single day.
Yeah.
Shout out to the song "Rock and Roll McDonald's" helping the crew get through the whole shoot, because that became an unofficial anthem of our.
Amen.
Because one of us would say, after a setup, after filming, when we're gonna move, we would say, "Let's rock and roll," and then they go. Everybody would start chanting "Rock and Roll McDonald's."
McDonald's is the place to rock.
It was a beautiful thing. Anyways, shout out to that song. But
shout out to Wesley Willis.
So Monday. Right. Monday, we have been in Yakima for 4 days now. And obviously we didn't get sleep from Friday to Saturday because we just stayed up. Saturday to Sunday, I got a little bit of sleep. Not a lot, because I wanted to edit. I set up editing. And when I edit, it's not just dropping the clips into the editing software. I'm organizing the clips into folders. I'm labeling the clips. I'm importing them. And then I can I'm watching them, and then I can finally edit the clips and everything. So I'm doing that pretty much for the nights, for the first couple of days. And so Monday night rolls around, and by that point, I think, what was it, an hour and 10 minutes of sleep, hour and 20 minutes of sleep total from Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I've been awake since Friday morning at 5 a.m. or something.
Yeah.
Crazy like that. Running on an hour and 20 minutes of sleep. And I'm sitting down, victorious, because we finished the shooting. And I was an hour late, but we finished shooting Monday night, and everything was going wrong. And I'm sitting there at the computer in the back of Nathan's. Shout out to Nathan and Karina, too, because they were gracious enough to host us and let us invade their home and ruin their lives and their trash, and Zach ruined their bathroom. Yeah, they were awesome hosts. Yeah, no one else forgot.
We remember.
We'll always remember. Yeah, so Monday rolls around. I'm in the back room at Nathan's place, and I'm labeling clips. I'm clicking on it. I'm watching a little bit of the clip. I'm labeling the shot, the scene, the shot, and the take number. And as I'm doing this, I'm looking at the computer screen, and fuzzy little kaleidoscopic things start appearing before my face, like almost like an iris, like closing in around my vision. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. And then I see like a beach in the distance, and I see water, and I see a piano, and then I kind of shake my head, and I look over like just to the side, and it's gone, and I'm back in Nathan's back room. I'm like, huh, that was weird. And then I start labeling the footage again, and the same thing happens. I see these kaleidoscope images come in front of my face. I see different weird kind of images, like pianos and waves and beaches and like tacos and like just weird just stuff. And as I'm doing this, I'm realizing, oh, I'm hallucinating right now. Like, I'm not seeing things straight. And like when I would move my hand in front of my face, I would see a trail of like the other hand. So it's like kind of when you see a character hallucinate in the movies. I saw that, like my hand was like leaving trails, and I was like waving my hand in front of my face and moving my fingers, and it was really weird. But I realized like I was hallucinating. So I walked out of Nathan's background. I was like, I should stop editing or labeling, because I'm going to label the clips the wrong way, and then I'm going to have to redo this later. So I got up, I walk up into the living room. I can't remember, what were you guys doing?
We were just talking, I think. Like I think we were watching like Bluey, or like Nathan
we were watching
Bluey. And I was just, again, like fighting off the coma, the impending coma.
Yeah.
Zach was chilling. And then all of a sudden Jordan is standing in the doorway looking at us. And there's a good, healthy pause there. Like a good, healthy pause.
It
Jordan
felt like hours to me.
It felt long to us. But Jordan just stands there. And I don't remember what you said.
I think I said,
I
like,
think you just
fellas,
said,
I think I'm hallucinating.
I think I'm hallucinating. And this isn't the first time. Fans of the podcast might.
No.
I think we told the story about you hallucinating at Dune. So this isn't the first time. So we were all kind of like,
without
this
drugs,
is
I
funny.
should say. I'm not like I'm
No.
not using drugs or anything.
This is all sleep induced, or lack of sleep induced.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we kind of look at each other like, oh, this is fun. We know what this is like. We know what Jordan's like when he's on this. So we started joking around at first. We're like playing the Dune song.
Well,
Whip out my phone.
In my memory, I'm standing there in the living room, and then the next thing you know, I'm laying down playing with my hand.
Yeah,
And I'm
Jordan's
just lying
laying
on
down.
my
He's
back.
doing this, and we are like playing the Dune song at him, and then it's like, wait, wouldn't it be funny if we played Rock and Roll McDonald's again? And so we played that. Meanwhile, Jordan, in your perspective, what were you seeing?
Picture, like, you know the sky from 300, the movie 300, those like those orange yellowish like clouds with like thunder and light. I'm seeing that, and these ginormous Titan figures against the sun, like these big silhouettes chanting like a Gregorian choir chant, singing Rock and Roll McDonald's, and it was like an earthquake. It was like I felt like I was in Attack on Titan, like looking up at a Titan or something.
Well, no, Jordan's just like prone
then
on his
he, like-
sleeping bag. Just like, fellas, just like eyes wide. Just like, have y'all seen Attack on Titan?
And at that point, Jordan, I think we just leave him alone. I think we just let him drift off.
We're like, go to bed,
into
Jordan.
slumber, and then he recovered a much needed sleep.
Yeah,
This poor man, though.
Yeah.
that was after the third day of shooting.
After then, Jordan made an effort to get like at least 2 hours of sleep a night,
Or an hour.
or an hour. It depended.
I really see. Here's the thing. because this is how we shoot in Portland. And because we're not on a huge time crunch, we shoot, we edit immediately, and then when we go into the next day of shooting, we know everything we've shot. We know if we need to pick up any new shots. So we're prepared and we're kind of staying on top of. So we've never really had to do reshoots before, because any reshoots we need, we just do during principal photography, right? Mm-hmm. So I really wanted to do that for this shoot. So what I would do is I'd step and I tried to edit best I could. I wasn't able to edit for a lot of the shoot, but what I was able to do was at least label all of the footage. That was my goal. By the end of every day, just label everything that we got.
And it was still great to do that, because we caught some mistakes. Just within our first day of filming the climax of the movie, we realized there was some big gaps in our coverage, and we were able to recover and add a couple hours of shooting to that. I won't go into it too much, but
no, Ethan,
I'll save that.
No, you should tell it.
It's
okay.
Oh my gosh!
I think we can talk. We'll spoil a prop that's used in the movie, because it's necessary to understanding this.
Yeah. So this might be one of the greatest stories. From our behind the scenes. Okay. Anyways, the movie climax has a bag of money in it, like $500,000, a big bag of money. Mm-hmm. And we had this prop that was set up to look with prop movie money, to look like a bag full of money. And we're filming our first day, and then we realized, oh man, we missed some coverage. We had to add a couple of hours to go back to this desert location and film the rest of the coverage and get all of our extra shots.
It's also it's a far out there. It's a pain in the ass. So we haul everybody out there. We have the prop money. We have the prop shovels and everything.
It'd be over an hour to go there and back. Like it'd be like an hour and 30 minutes probably.
We're not there to linger. We're there to be in and out.
Yeah. So we roll up to shoot this extra coverage. We get to the location. We have multiple cars again, and we don't really have like an assigned prop person. Everyone just kind of has props in their car. Mm-hmm. So we have a shovel, a metal detector, this bag of money, and some other like miscellaneous props and stuff out with our actors. We're shooting scenes again just to get it and get out. Anyways, we get all of our coverage and we go back to town. Fast forward like a day and a half. We're back at Nathan's house, which is kind of our home base. Mm-hmm. And we're looking for was it the shovel? We were looking for his shovel. Mm-hmm. And we could not find it anywhere. We could not find the shovel. So it's like, Nathan's like, no big deal, I have other shovels. So we end up looking at those, and it's like, wait, where's our metal detector like prop? It's not a real metal detector, it's just like a fake prop, but it was like, wait, where did we put that? Because we need that for a scene. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, wait, I'm like looking around our prop table, I'm looking under it and everything. I was like, guys, have you seen the bag of money anywhere? And then
very realistic bag of money.
Yep.
It's incredibly real. And it all just clicks for us in that moment.
We were like,
all of the props that we are looking for are in the same spot. They are back in the middle of the desert, like an hour away from us. Mm-hmm. And we have no time to go get them. Like there is no feasible way within our production schedule to go back and get this stuff. So we had to just in that moment realize, like, fortunately we were done with all those props, really. Like we didn't need them.
Right.
But we had to just accept that we were not going to go get them, and they had to just stay in the desert.
Well, these, for context, if you were to go out in Yakima in the desert and climb up onto a big hill,
this could still happen.
It could still be there. There is in the desert at the top of a hill a big hole in the ground, a shovel, and a metal detector, and a bag of very real looking money.
It looks so real. It's $500,000.
And so we were joking when we were up there, just like, we just made someone very happy and then very unhappy at the same time, like right after.
We have potentially ruined someone's like week, possibly their life if they don't look close enough. It could be like a Babylon situation.
Calling up the boss. Boss, I hate your guts. I'm never coming to work for you again. Take your promotion, shove it up your ass. Like, hang up. Like.
But the story doesn't stop there. fast forward a couple of weeks,
Oh gosh.
and fast forward a couple of weeks, we're in Portland, and I see an article pop up on my like Google, and it says at Multnomah Falls, which is kind of in the middle between Portland and Yakima. It's in the Columbia River Gorge.
90 minutes away.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of in the middle. Someone had thrown a bunch of fake bills over the waterfall, and it was the same bills we used. So it's
Well, no,
not.
no, no.
It's
No,
definitely
no, no, no,
not.
no,
It's
no, no.
definitely
They were marked.
no.
They had blue
It is not the
lines.
exact same.
But
Not the same bills like the same ones.
They
as
were the
ours.
same
Like,
design.
yeah,
Yeah.
like they were all the same. Like money, fake prop money. Like
Yeah.
I'm sure. Like it wasn't ours. Like we've no way. Like, there's no way it was. But it was just that again that little sprinkle, the cherry on top of the story that just made it extra funny.
Yeah.
It kept going.
Dude, it was that was a good like mishap on our set. Mm-hmm. That was a
Again,
happy little accident.
so lucky that we didn't need those props.
Well, and when you see the final product,
if
we
we
had
did,
to
like-
rework one scene because we didn't have those props, and it actually works well that they
That
weren't
is true.
there.
It made it better. It made
Yeah.
the scene better in my opinion, because before I was just kind of like, I know the coverage we need. It's kind of boring. I'm not. I mean, I was gonna shoot it, but I wasn't like feeling it. I wasn't really inspired. But then once it was like, oh shoot, we don't have the shovels and everything. Like, what are we gonna do? It's like, okay,
That's
and then we just
drama.
reworked the scene, and
Yeah.
we worked it, and it was way more interesting. It was 1,000 times
Yeah.
more interesting.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's a great scene.
Yeah.
In the words of Bob Ross, happy little accidents.
Jeez, I'm losing. I mean, we're kind of hopping all over the place. What are other big stories from that principal photographer
Oh.
shoot?
We were shooting in an abandoned house. I was actually back at Nathan's place, but you guys come back from filming a scene with a couple of characters in this abandoned house. And Nathan already has a couple pets, but somebody returns and it's like late morning and Caleb and I are just chilling. And somebody's like, well, we got the coverage, but we also got a cat. And they bring in this little small gray kitten named Nosy. This little...
There was a stray cat
Oh my
at
gosh.
this abandoned building that just followed us. It
Yeah.
was, she was a, or he, was it he or she?
It was a she, I think.
I
I'm
think...
fairly certain it was a
Yeah.
she.
Starving.
been
She
a
was a
while.
toothpick. She was like
Yeah.
Yeah.
so hungry. Mm-hmm. Followed us around all while we were shooting. You can see her in the movie, the current cut of the movie. She's like in the bottom
yeah.
of the frame a little bit.
I tried to get her at least a little bit.
Yeah.
Without being too, on the nose.
Ah...
Because her name was Nosy.
But yeah,
Stop. I'll go back. I'll quit.
So we were
So,
stuck
on
with...
top of like all
kitten.
the
for a
chaotic
week.
shooting and everything, we had this kitten with us for that week who
Mm-hmm.
loved to claw at your legs as you took a poop or pee in Nathan's.
And the reason being is they had to keep her in the bathroom, like, which is a pretty big space, like in their bathroom. Like it's like a laundry room, bathroom, like shower, everything. But this cat was just living in there. And every time you'd go to the bathroom, she'd want to like get on you. But like, kittens, like they like to climb, they like to like latch onto things. She would just jump onto your legs at any given moment. And it was one of the most terrifying experiences of my life.
Well, I was standing facing the toilet, going pee, and all this, like doing my thing, and then I feel these claws on my leg, and she's climbing up the back of my legs, and I'm like, ow, ow, ow. And so I'm like trying to grab this kitten off of me and put her in a place, because like if I just move her off, she's just gonna jump back on, and then so I'm like trying to like aim and pee and like do my thing, do the business, and then this cat's attacking me and everything. It was wild.
Yeah,
Yeah.
crazy.
midstream, man. It's just not ideal.
Yeah.
No.
One last little story, not to take up too much time, but we also got to experience something that I think all of us can agree is a peak category in our life. We got to smell what is probably the worst smell
Oh,
we've ever smelled.
Oh my
For like
gosh.
4 hours. We were just subjected to it.
Saturday. Saturday, the last Saturday, the day that we wrapped Vanessa for all of her scenes. And we are scheduled to shoot a big set piece that day at this location on the side of the road. Now, when I scouted this location with Nathan and Caleb and Zach way back in March or whenever we went up,
It's a beautiful
it
location.
was beautiful, gorgeous, side of the road, no traffic, very isolated, very quiet.
It's a neat spot.
There's this beautiful pool of water which wasn't there, but I don't think we expected it to be there.
Yeah.
But it, wasn't there. But then, of course, when we go to shoot, it's super hot, and it's traffic is everywhere. Every couple minutes, it's like vroom vroom, giant massive truck goes by, and someone. This is what probably happened. Took a dead cow carcass, buried it.
Like a calf. Like it was small or part of it. It was undetermined.
There were a couple of bags of entrails, and then strewn like all across this like little pull-off zone where we're parked and filming are just rotting flesh.
And fur.
Yeah.
It was easily the worst thing I've ever smelt in my entire life.
And
Easily.
it started off
Easily.
bad, but it was 8 a.m. and the sun is gradually rising, and now you have cooking, rotting flesh, and we're there for again 6
we're
or
stuck
7
there.
hours.
And that thing had been there for a while. It was it was in a black plastic bag that had been ripped apart, probably by other animals scavenging.
Yep.
But it was probably at the point where now nothing wanted it.
Right.
And it was just there baking. And there was a point where we were shooting this shot, and Jordan's like, "Can you get this framing?" And I can't possibly get the framing without standing directly like downwind and next to it. And so it's just, I'm just in its essence, getting the shot, holding my breath, and every time I inhale, I like start gagging and wanting to throw up. So I'm like not even checking the coverage. I get the shot. I'm just like, we're moving on. I hope it turned out. I don't care. Like, the shot's what it is. It's the only time I'll ever just give up. And the smell stuck to our cars. So like we drive out of there. We're like airing out our like windows down, like blowing air so we can like get away from it. Zach, Brooke, and I, we go to Costco to get some food. Like before we open everyone, we get out of the car, and the smell is still there. It had
It's like in the tires.
I guess my car had run over some
Yeah.
of it. And so it was in the tires, and you just couldn't, there was no way to get rid of it.
Like,
You had to just like drive.
we cannot overstate how foul this smelled. Like, this was the most rancid. This is worse than anything that you could ever imagine, like, smell ever.
It made
Like,
a
it
skunk
is so bad.
smell refreshing. That's how bad it
Yes.
was.
Yeah, we drove
and
past
we
the
smelled
skunk.
a skunk,
And it
And
smelled
we
the
could
way
good.
smell
back.
it, and it was good.
and we were like, "Oh, this is nice."
Never again.
No.
Never again.
Oh my gosh.
So bad. So
And we
bad.
had to get some reshoots at that same location like half a month later. And it was still there.
Did.
It wasn't nearly as bad,
The smell wasn't as bad, though.
but
The
it was
smell
still
wasn't
there.
though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was. And it does appear in at least the edit as of now in the movie.
We'll point it out when we do,
You
like,
see it.
One of our
breakdown
actors
or
even
whatever.
mentions it
Yeah.
in the script.
Yeah. Yeah. He like improv'd a line for it. Because it was just so like there was no way to get around this thing that was just there. We were just subject to it. It was bad. It was
Yeah.
real bad.
Yeah. listen, we're cutting it a little close, so I want to do one more thing before we wrap. But we have so many. This isn't even everything from the production. Those were the highlight stories. I mean, we didn't talk about my car's check engine light coming on and that by the car kind of stuff. We didn't talk about all the stories with the AC with my car. We didn't talk about losing actors and having to shuffle around actors, losing locations. We didn't talk about all, like, there's so much crazy stuff that happened. And we didn't talk about all the kind of fun hangouts and stuff, that because there was downtime during all this, and we didn't talk about like the food and stuff that we got to do necessarily, and all the hanging out at the pool. And I mean I'll just
we
say,
shot another short film while we were shooting this movie.
Yeah.
Like with another production. Like we were working with other people while we were shooting this.
There's so many stories to tell, and it's all too much for now. So what I would say is maybe ask questions. Leave a question on like story specifics, and maybe we can get around to it. And I'm sure we will in the course of the next year, and as we talk with other folks of the production. But we have so many stories from this production. Those are the ones that stand out. What I want to do now is I want to shout out the people who worked on the movie, and I'm thinking maybe we can mention someone, and we can share some their contributions to the movie, because it can't be overstated that this really was a doomed production, like both in the fact that we're doomed productions and the fact that this movie should not have been finished, but by some miracle the movie's wrapped and it's being edited right now. And it's not because of me. It's not because of Ethan, Zach. It's because of everybody who worked on the movie along with us. This is a team effort completely. And so I figure we just talk about some folks from the production and close it there. Because this was not just like a one-man show. This is like everybody, like all these talents and pools of people coming together. And I guess I'll just started with Vanessa, who was probably the most fun I've ever had working with a actress before, or a lead character before, because just a trooper, up for everything. She put up with hell, from the production schedule to the kind of stunts and the kind of physical arduous work and all the memorizing the lines. And she never complained once. She always was like super into it. And whenever I had a ridiculous request of like, hey, can we add an hour onto this day to pick up the shot, she was always down, always available. She took that entire week off of work. So I got to shout out Vanessa just for all of her hard work and dedication, and really making like, it's super fun to shoot and like perform with and act with and everything. So shout out to Vanessa for being an awesome actress and filmmaker on our team.
Yeah.
Ethan, who do you got?
This person stands out to me, who had a small acting role in the movie, but had a bigger part to play in the like makeup side, and that's Brooke. And she did an amazing job of doing all of our movie's makeup. And the most amazing part, and the thing that I love so much about her, was she's such a great filmmaker. She understood just like the fact that she was out there for long hours, sometimes just to do makeup and just to hang out on set. And she never complained, even though most of the time her job would be done within the first hour of setup. And then there would be 5 more hours of the day that she would just be there. And she never complained. She never had an issue with that. And she was always such a great trooper. Just loved having her on set, and she was just a great presence. And and that same goes for Kate. The other side of Grandin Films. Both of them were just so awesome and being willing to be a part of the set in whatever way they wanted to contribute. And it was just super, super great having them on hand. They're great collaborators and great friends of ours. And
well, Kate was like we joked she was like our on-set mom, because she would like,
she really was.
Who needs a water? Like when we shot at her parents' place, she'd be like, who needs a water? Can I get anybody anything? And she's pregnant too. Yeah. She's carrying a baby inside of her, and she's still like running around, holding umbrellas for people, making sure everybody's, got what they need.
We had an injury that day, and she was running around getting tissues for someone bleeding all over the place and getting them water and taking care of them. It was, like such a crucial role for us that we didn't realize we needed until it was like happening in front of us. And like, oh my gosh, this is great that we have this person here who's just willing to do all these extra jobs and things for us.
Yeah. Zach, who pick another person from our crew to shout out.
I'm gonna shout out Riley and Izzy, both of whom played integral roles in this film. They opened up their house to us, put up with the hectic nature of this film, were incredibly hospitable and kind, and put up with our late hours of filming and all that jazz. Also, Izzy was an incredible scene partner to work with, and such a trooper for the stunts that we did. He was our first on-set injury of this this production, and he went through with the take in Leonardo DiCaprio fashion. It was, and the take is in the film, and he gives an excellent performance. And both of these guys were just great people to have on our team. So yeah, shout out to Riley and Izzy.
Those guys, I love those guys. David Rivera is another.
Yes.
There are kind of three co-leads in the movie, but David Rivera is one of them, and he is an awesome actor. And again, super special, kind of like awesome time working with him. Mm-hmm. But seeing him transform into this character he's a completely opposite kind of like, so David Rivera was in Hotel, and the character he plays isn't like exactly like David. I mean, it's obviously not David, it's a different, but it's very like, you can see David and the character he plays in Hotel as like very similar in some ways. The guy he plays in this is completely like a 180, not David whatsoever. And to see him transform and blow people's minds, like everybody would come up to me who acts in a scene with him, like after, and be like, dude, David's doing awesome. I'm really scared of David.
Yeah.
So David gave one hell of a performance, and he was just awesome to have on set. And it was fun to finally get to work with him. And shout out to his family, because they have a restaurant that they let us eat at. And
truly
that food was
incredible
amazing.
food.
It's so good.
Yeah.
If you are in the Yakima area, El Serrano, I think it is.
El Serrano.
Yeah.
Yes.
Check it out.
I
It's
believe
very,
off of
very
Main
good.
Street.
Yes.
I'll look.
Yeah, I think so. Or First or something.
First,
Maine.
it's
I'm
one of
pretty
those
sure it's
big
Maine.
ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very good.
Ethan. First Street.
Yeah.
It's First Street.
Okay.
Who's another person to shout out from our crew?
It's got to be the dynamic duo, our favorite, our first loves of Yakima, Caleb and Nathan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Those boys were our producers on set and are kind of our feet on the ground when we couldn't be there. Jordan, were constantly in communication with them months leading up to this shoot, asking them about locations, scheduling actors, finding whatever we needed. You would just give them like a laundry list of things to work on, and they would do those things for us. And they were just invaluable. Again, all of our Yakima friends were great local guides to help us survive the desert. And Caleb and Nathan definitely worked hard to make sure we got exactly what we needed for our movies, and bent over backwards. And also, again, we mentioned earlier, but also Nathan's girlfriend and him, they opened up their home to let us crash in their back room and make everything just a mess and absolutely inconvenience their lives. And they were so awesome about it. So
I mean,
say thank you
enough.
enough.
This movie would not exist without Nathan and Caleb. I mean, I mean, it would exist in some form without. This sounds really bad, like I'm comparing, but like, I mean, Caleb and Nathan, they're producers on the movie. Like, they were able to really guide us along the way in the year leading up to shooting this film, and making sure that we had everything that we needed. And if a problem came up, that they would help deal with it. And just having that constant communication with them was just like, it can't be overstated, that importance. So sorry to pick favorites, everybody, but like, it's not even favorites. We love you all, but like those guys in particular, they were like they put in a lot of overtime. They
Oh
dealt
yeah.
with a lot of our shenanigans and nonsense. So, our producers, Caleb and Nathan, for sure.
Yeah.
Those guys are awesome. Yeah. Zach, who else?
Trying to remember. It's been a while. Who else worked on
Well,
this?
there's the homie who came up with us.
Oh yes. Shout out to Phil for coming up for the week. He was an extra set of hands. He acted in the movie. He helped get B-roll for the film as part of our second unit. Yeah, he was just an absolute trooper. Had such a great attitude that he brought to each and every film shoot and each and every day that he was there. And it was a bummer to see him leave on Friday. But yeah, absolute legend.
Also, he had the coolest exit of
Yes.
anyone leaving set.
Yeah, because he rides a motorcycle and he drove that up, and it was just hilarious and awesome. But Phil, I don't know if many people know this. I've been making movies with Phil longer than I've been making movies with Ethan. Like, Phil was there for the first film I ever did, way back in 2011. So we've been working together for a long, long, long time, and it's been, he's constantly been a person that we can rely on and who can help us out with our projects. Like, he did a lot of our short films back in the day when we were still Caramel Shark Studios, but he was the Scarecrow in October most recently, and he was just, our super duper, to say PA is almost diminishing like the full extent of what he provided the set, but he was just our super film crew person up there, and an actor. Swiss Army knife, yeah, Swiss Army Phil. That's who we got up there, yeah. So shout out to Phil. I got a shout out Ernesto Sears, who was one of the actors who tagged along with us for a little bit of shooting, and we've worked with him before on kind of an RC film. Oh, and he was also in our Dude, Where's Our Mountain Dew? So we worked on in like a more improvised kind of film setting, and he's hilarious and he's great, and we love working with him. But to like work with scripted stuff with him was just joy, and to see him work his magic and sprinkle that Ernesto kind of personal touch on everything was real special to see. It was awesome having him out in the heat and drag him along for a little bit of the misery. So shout out to Ernesto for sure.
One of the person we got to shout out, who's a newer cast member for us, was Micah,
Oh yeah.
who came to save us at the last minute. We had another actor who had to back out just due to other circumstances, and we needed someone to fill in for this role. And with like 45 minutes of heads up, Micah came to the rescue and acted in a whole scene. He had like a pretty physical role. We were throwing him into the deep end a little bit, and he was such a great trooper about it and delivered. He absolutely delivered. And it was someone that we've been wanting to work with since we had seen him act in an improv show like a year ago.
Dude,
so to have him on set was great.
When we saw him in the improv show, he like climbed up on the rafters of this little auditorium, and we always remembered that. And we were like, we love that guy. We got to work with him somehow. And it was just real special that we were able to, a year later, or almost a year later, get to work with him on this. So he was awesome. He came in, did his magic, then took off. It was like a mic drop moment.
Yeah, very memorable scene from him.
Oh yeah. Zach, who else?
We had a particular sequence in the movie where we had many extras who all showed up with varying degrees of heads up, who all brought their energy and excitement to be there, and we really appreciated it. It's a very special part of the film that we can't tell you anything about. But to every single person who showed up, it was probably close to it was probably over a dozen people.
Yeah, it
maybe
was
closer
quite a
to
lot
20.
of people who showed up as extras. Yeah.
But yes, every single one made that scene, and we appreciate every single one of you.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I'm looking through. I want to make sure we don't miss anybody. I'm looking through
Yeah.
our the credits and one of the last version of the cut, just to make sure we don't miss anything. See, got Izzy, Brooke, and Micah. Let's see. And I mean, while we're here, actually, I'm kind of also you, Zach. I mean, you too, Ethan. But like, for I mean, okay, for Zach, you first. You I mean, on top of being an awesome producer and just again, kind of like Phil, just there in all manner of the different aspects of production. We had another actor that we lost in this. We lost two actors when we were coming up there, and you stepped in very last minute to fill in
Like
this role,
day of, yeah.
which was awesome. The day of, yeah, like we'd lost the actor the night before. The day of, we're like, okay, we have no one else. Zach, can you do it? And you did. So when you see Zach's role in the movie, it's a pretty good role. Like it's not huge. It's definitely like it's like a secondary character, but you're there for a lot of it. You weren't supposed that was supposed to be someone else, but you filled in that role, and you did. Your and Izzy's chemistry was just like perfect. It was like one of those things where this is so unexpected. This was like not what I was thinking of, but this is better what I was thinking of. Like this is so cool and this is so awesome. So shout out to you for particularly like jumping in for acting, but then all the all the other stuff you do. Ethan, you too, you put up with lots of no sleep, lots of ridiculous scheduling. I mean, I'm fine with punishing myself when it comes to the schedule and organizing all of this, but then the people who also have to bear that punishment is also you and Zach. So it's like, thank you guys for going on this crazy journey with me and like putting out awesome work. I mean, you guys shot the movie pretty much. You guys were the cinematographers and you guys churned out beautiful footage. It's our best looking movie, and I know we always say that about our new movie, but it's true. It looks awesome, and so thank you guys for all of what you guys did in putting this whole thing together. Because this, I mean, I definitely could not have done any of this without you guys. So shout out to you guys as well.
Well, thank you. And I mean, obviously, it can be understated, of course, the burden that the director carries on these shoots. Sorry, Zach, if I'm cutting.
No, you're going right where I was going.
We'll tag team it. No, I mean, just can't be understated the burden that the directors carry. I mean, that's how all of our shoots are, where the director has the unfair load they have to carry. But it was a pleasure to share the load with you. So thank you. Zach, go ahead.
Yeah. For those who don't know, Jordan co-stars in this film. He's also the director. He took the time to also co-write the script with Andrew, and he sacrificed his physical health for this film, as we said earlier.
And my financial health.
Yes, this was not a cheap
given.
movie for us. This is probably one of our most expensive movies. You helped organize so much of this film. And you had a vision that you made sure that Ethan and I were filled in on. You did an excellent job of balancing your directing and acting skills on set. It made it incredibly easy for those of us who were acting in the film. We were able to be like, okay, this is where you want this to go. Okay. And then roll with it. And your ability to adapt to the ever-changing circumstances was also incredible. And this is your movie. And without you, it would not exist.
Well, thank you. That'll be I'll send the bill to your house or up in Canada. Where should I send
Bill the Canadian government.
little invoice there? Okay. No, yeah.
No.
And then before I forget too, like a couple people who weren't there on out there upset with us, but like are part of the production. Obviously, Andrew Price, who co-wrote the movie with me, and he's
Yes.
currently doing a little bit of like editing help. I mean, you guys as well, but Andrew's kind of he popped in for writing, and he's kind of back for some editing work a little bit. And he's just an awesome guy, and I can't wait for more people to see the stuff he's written because he's a great writer, and
Yeah.
it's exciting to like finally have something of ours come to life. Also, Josh Bailey, who is helping with what will be the standout sequence in the movie. Like, if everybody who's watching this video goes and sees the movie in like a year or so, you're gonna know what sequence I'm talking about. Like that sequence, Josh Bailey's been a huge help in shaping that out. And then our buddy Tim Stewart, because Tim loaned us drone.
Yeah. And that
Some
drone,
of the
man.
best shots of the film.
It was. Yeah. And Josh loaned us a gimbal.
Yeah, that's
There
right.
was so much
Yeah,
new
that
gear
too.
on this shoot.
Yeah.
A gimbal and a drone. We're pulling out the stops.
Yeah.
We went into this like, if this is the movie that ends our careers as filmmakers, we want it to at least look good.
Yeah, I went into this one being like, yeah, this might be the last movie I ever make, which was really freeing and scary, but also just like it gave me a lot of energy I don't think I would have had otherwise. Just being like, yeah, I could never, like, I could drop dead tomorrow. I could never direct another movie again, and this will be it. So that's kind of the, and hopefully it turns out good.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Let's see, about an hour 14. Well, should we close with our? I mean, we've been talking about what we've been working on. Should we talk about just kind of chillax and talk about what we've been watching, just for a little bit?
Sure.
Well,
What have you guys been watching?
when we were up in Yakima for principal photography, a little social media sensation came to fruition while we were up in the desert. Shortly after returning, we all at various times went to see Oppenheimer. And I believe Ethan and Jordan have
And
both
Barbie.
seen Barbie, but I have not yet. I still need to before it leaves theaters. But yeah.
Maybe we should talk about that. Just Barbie and Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
What'd you guys think of Oppenheimer?
It was cool. You know. They dropped a big old bomb on cinema.
They did.
It was good. I got to see it with you, Jordan, and with my wife, and with David Rivera. He came down to Portland, and we saw it at the OMSI Empirical Theater,
Yeah.
which was quite the theater to see it in. I was very happy that that was the theater I got to watch it at. It was very, very good.
Yeah.
It's one of those movies. I had heard some things and the buzz all around it and some certain things here and there, and getting to watch it and see kind of how all that stuff came together and just how Nolan makes a movie.
Yeah.
It's just always good. So it was a great time. Had a lot of fun watching that movie. And then Barbie was also great. I talked about Barbie a healthy amount. And I listened to the soundtrack a healthy amount too post watching the movie.
Yeah.
It slaps.
Dude, Barbie was that was a fun one. That's one where the Ryan, I mean it's like cliche to say, but Ryan Gosling is just so funny in that movie. And I wish he would do more comedies because he's really funny in Nice Guys as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he's awesome. He's great. Oppenheimer, I've seen Barbie twice, maybe three. I think I've seen it twice. But Oppenheimer I've seen like 4 times. And man, every time I watch it, I'm like, yeah, I think that's Chris Nolan's. That's my favorite of his. Yeah, it's pretty like incredible. And it's not for everybody. It's a 3-hour movie with just people talking, which just on paper that does not sound like a movie I would inherently like. I was like, oh, that might be one of my favorite movies of the year. That was awesome.
Yeah. For 3 hours with
Yeah,
primarily talking heads, it is incredibly engaging. I think I've told the boys this already, but We have certain feelings about the Academy and the Oscars, but if I was
They
a betting
suck.
man, I would not be surprised if
Yeah.
in some way, shape, or form, Oppenheimer became the fourth movie to win 11 Oscars. It definitely has that potential.
Yeah, I could see it.
Well, with the strikes and everything, yeah, there's no new stuff coming out. Like they're not going to release all the Oscar bait movies, I don't think.
Right.
So it'd be like Oppenheimer against what else? What else that came out this year that seems like an Oscar kind of movie that they would nominate? I mean, I would love to say the Spider-Verse movie, but they don't like animated movies usually. Even though I think
I think it'll
one of
get
my
Best
favorites of the
Animated
year as well.
Feature.
Oh yeah,
But other than that,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, I have no clue.
yeah.
There's been a lot of A24 stuff
No, we've
that
had-
could
this is-
potentially be in the running.
Oh, the Scorsese movie's coming out this fall.
Oh, yeah.
That what's it called? Moon, the Killing Moon, the flowers of the Killing
Killers,
Moon.
Killers of the
Something
Flower
that.
Moon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one looked cool.
Killers of the Flower Moon. Yeah. Can't remember titles. Sorry, watching movies, it's like a blur when you're making a movie. It's like, what's
no
going
time.
on? There's no time. Yeah. Yeah. No, there's been some good movies coming out this year. Recently, we've seen more than Barbie and Oppenheimer. Like, what was the last thing you guys watched? The most recent thing?
Oh, gosh.
Phone is
Ahsoka.
being used as my camera.
Ahsoka. Oh man.
Ahsoka's been incredible.
As a Star Wars fan, it has been such a treat to see a lot of these characters again. It is basically Rebels Season 5 for those familiar with the Star Wars TV shows. And as of this recording, Episode 5 has not come out. But I speak for myself when I say I am very excited to see what comes next.
Dude. Yeah. Yeah.
It's going to be incredible.
Yeah. I can't wait.
Also,
This reminded me of someone else. So I saw Perfect Blue came out in the theater for like a couple of days. So I went to see that recently. That was awesome. But I saw it with Raquel, who helped out on our movie for a little bit of there's a special sequence in the movie. She helped out with camera work for that, and she's also has a cameo in the movie, but she didn't go up to Yakima with us. And so shout out to Raquel or
Oh,
someone else I forgot.
and then also that'd be my wife's
Oh,
entire
that's right. That's
family.
right.
yep.
Her mom, dad, and brother were all cameos in the movie, and they were the first things to be filmed
Yep.
for the movie.
That's right. Yeah.
And the first people you will see in the movie. You'll find out more about that. But yeah, they were willing to act, and all but one of them had never acted in any video stuff before. So, but they were very, very gracious and patient, and yeah, it is super special having them all on camera.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, sorry. Perfect Blue. I saw that recently, which was awesome. Well, I think, we could talk for hours, but people got to go to work. They got stuff to do. We got stuff to do. So this seems like a pretty good place to call it, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
So once again, this is the Doom Productions podcast. We have been on a little bit of a hiatus, but we're coming back full swing. Stay tuned because we're going to be talking about this movie. We're going to talk about other movies. We're going to be posting more, be more active here on YouTube as we're in the post-production process on our film. And so you want to hit subscribe, like, comment, share, all that good stuff. And until the next episode of this podcast and our next video, hope you have a good week.